Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the No Sugarcoating podcast. I am your host, Amber Romaniuk, emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert, and I am beyond honored to have an incredible guest on the show today, and I'm going to introduce her right away. So today's episode is all about awakening to your power and the love within you with channeling medium Blossom Goodchild. Now, Blossom, who I'm going to introduce right away, has really had a very significant positive impact on my life and so many all over the world with her incredible channelings, helping us to rediscover and reawaken to our power, our love, and our light, and why we're here. And it is a very profound experience we get to have as human beings. And so I'm really excited to bring her on right away and get this conversation going. So a few years ago, on part of my own awakening journey, I found a group of like-minded people, and one of them shared her YouTube channel. And I started listening to these beautiful channelings, and they're so full of love and so encouraging and so uplifting. And it felt so resonant to listen. And it helped me remember and discover parts of who I am and why I'm here and why so many of us are here. And it comes back to love and spreading love and light and helping have a positive impact on the planet and raising the vibration of the planet. And we're going to have a beautiful conversation around that. And of course, as always, if you want any of the details about Blossom, her work, or to find her and access her channelings or her website, I will share all of the details in that below in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, and of course in the show notes for the podcast audio episode at amberapproved.ca/podcast/404. We'll link her bio, her website, as well as her YouTube channel. So it's really easy for you to access and go and check out her content. It could really change your life in a very empowering way. So I'm going to dive right in and introduce Blossom. So, I really like my cheeks are hurting from smiling because we've had such a great conversation. And, I really believe everything on this planet is leading us to a better, more beautiful world. And the level of peace and reassurance, like I said, that Blossom's channelings provide is absolutely incredible. And I'm so honored to have her on the show. And so Blossom is a professional direct voice channeling medium. She's been channeling the Native American Indian spirit energy White Cloud for 23 years now and shares his messages of true unconditional love by means of videos and group events. Blossom began communicating with the Federation of Light in 2005, and their conversations are now world renowned. Following her sister and family, Blossom immigrated with her husband and son from the UK to the Sunshine Coast, Queensland, Australia in 2000. Sadly, her beloved husband, Goody, left the planet in October 2021 after discovering a brain tumor in April of that same year. Blossom is learning to navigate her life's path without him. He is greatly missed. Blossom is also a professional actress and continues to perform on stage when she can. Performing feeds her soul and is where she feels most at home. She jokes that she has a deal with the universe. She will put her heart and soul into her spiritual work, her mission, as long as she can be in a professional show when the opportunity arises, as it's her passion. Blossom considers to be an absolute honor to assist White Cloud and the Federation of Light in getting their important messages out to as many souls as possible in order to raise the vibration of the planet and all who sail with her. Without further ado, let's dive right in. So it's my pleasure to welcome Blossom Goodchild to the show today. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Amber. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, well, you're on the other side of the ocean, right? Australia, I'm here in Canada. So it's your morning the next day. And I have a bunch of different questions I want to dive into. But first, I just want to share with the audience a little bit about how I found you, because I think we all are on a journey. And a few years ago, waking up, right, to different things in the world. And then I'm like, holy moly, what's happening? Are we doomed? And I met a group of people who we all kind of were on the same page, and they shared a link to your channel. And I listened to one of the channelings and I just wept tears of joy and felt activation chills and just thought, oh my gosh, this feels so right and so true and so empowering. And I no longer fear. And so I just wanted to share that because it's such a gift what you're doing. And we're going to get into that right away. It's such a gift of reassurance. You're welcome. So you are so gifted. You have this gift of channeling, which we'll dive into right away. But first, I'm curious, before that whole adventure started, like, who is Blossom? You know, before you started channeling the Federation and White Cloud.
Oh, well, I guess I went to drama school, went to a boarding school convent, hated it, but there we go, had some fun. And I went to drama school because my parents were both in the theatre, and that's all I ever still is wanted to do. That's my absolute passion. And so did all that, and I became interested uh, in spirituality in my mid-20s, I think it was. And so yeah, that's it wasn't until I was about 40 though, that just before 40, that it all started happening for me. So I got married, got divorced, had a child, and yeah, just had a normal sort of life. Did a lot of theatre in England, and then White Cloud, and that came along, which we'll get into in a bit. A year before I moved out to Australia.
Wow.
And my sister had come here first, 6-7 years before me, and came out on holiday with my partner then, Goody, and then we had to get married to come here. And we just, on the last day, we were like, we could have this every day, the last day of our holiday. We could, and so we were just like, let's do it. And all the pieces fell into place, and we moved to Australia 23 years ago, and I've never regretted a moment of it. Not a moment. I love it.
Amazing. We're always end up where we're meant to be. Now I'm curious because a lot of the listeners have gone through or experiencing some kind of like self-sabotage or like body image issues. Did you ever have a journey where you went through anything like that with yourself, or you didn't have your worthiness?
Oh my God. I mean, God, yes, because I had weight issues. And I could even say up to now, when I say up to now, I mean, I've sort of the last year or so, I've lost 8 kilos, I think. And it's like, I'm like, oh, I don't even have to try. It's sort of found its place. But absolute huge weight issues of being, just hating myself because I just didn't look how I wanted to look. I mean, it was a big part of my life, and just that same thing of not feeling pretty enough. It was really, oh, 1 second, just got to press it. It was really difficult to overcome, and it is because of the way the social thing of this is how we should look. We're so conditioned to that. It's just terrible. So, but I think as you get older as well, Amber, I mean, I'm 65, so it's like, you just get over it a bit now. There's not, it's like I am who I am, and that at the end of the day, that's exactly it, isn't it? It's nothing to do with what we look like on the outside. It's who we are inside that is what it's all about. But it takes a long time to get there. Long time to get there.
Yeah. And I think it just goes to show the human in all of us, right? That we all have gone through our experiences that help us evolve to where we are today, and how targeted women especially have been, right, to be in the fight with the body. And I find like it robs us of our intuition or connecting more with our spiritual gifts and or being in our love and light and why we're here on this planet. And so, everyone has their path of when they're going to clear it out. But I just think it's so important that we learn how to clear it so that we can really just step into our power and
that's right.
Right. Why we're here.
That's right. It's such a crazy thing how we judge, because that's what we're conditioned and programmed to do, to judge people by the way they look, and therefore we're judging ourselves. It's right back at us, and it's absolutely, it's so ridiculous, and thankfully over all these years, I've managed to let I would say 99% of that go, really, you know. And then, of course, when you get to my age, you've got that bit to deal with as well as what you look like, you know. It's like, good
Yeah.
Lord, you know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's aging, like quote unquote, the word aging. I think it's like evolving on your life path should be so celebrated, right? Like, and it's again the vanity and all the programming. It just,
Yeah,
yeah.
really, it is. It is, especially, you know, with my friends and my sister and that she's a year and a half older than me. You know, we just have a laugh because you just, you know, you look in the mirror and you think, who is that? You know, where did all these lies go? You look at your body and you just think, oh my God, I look like my mother. You know, it's
Mm,
just, but you just have to accept. I mean, it's just a thing of acceptance, especially as you get older. That's,
mhm.
as I say, a whole different ball game. You just, well, this is who I am. You know, that's it. I mean, there's no way I'd have any of the old duck lips going on or anything like that. You know, I have my lash extensions, had those for years, and
Nice.
that's my thing. That's my thing, type of thing. You know.
Yeah, fair enough. I hear you, right? But I think like life is just so much more enjoyable if we can let that stuff go and really learn to make peace with our bodies, right? This vessel that we volunteered to come down here and live in and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and have this human experience. So thank you for sharing a bit about that. I always like to ask. So now you're in Australia. Like, when did you discover that you had this capability, like the psychic channeling capability, or did you practice to build it?
No, it was a year before we came, so it was like 23, 24 years ago now. And I'd always been interested in the spiritual movement since I was about 18 or 19. And I was at drama, just finishing drama school. And I started, for a couple of years at drama school, I started having what we would call fits or these attacks. And I just sort of feel very strange, fall on the floor, sometimes hyperventilate, and just go out. And I never left my body, but I could hear people say, Blossom, are you all right? You know, do we call an ambulance, and all this fuss around me? And I couldn't answer, I couldn't move, but I was actually fine
Mhm.
lying on the floor there. And in one, we were just doing a show called Joseph and His Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and it was a professional show. And some of the last year students were in this show, so I was fortunate to be in that. And a guy who was playing Joseph, unfortunately, I had one of these fits in rehearsals, and he came over, and everybody's crowding around, and he took the fit from my body into his. And I was like, well, afterwards, everyone had a little break, and afterwards, and outside, I was like, what was going on? And he said he belonged to this sort of spiritual healing group, and he had a doctor that came through, and did I want to come to a meeting? Well, my father was a very staunch Catholic, and there was no way, I was like 19, no way he was going to allow this, not that it was any of his business, bless him. And anyway, so they held this meeting for me, and therefore I then got into finding out a bit more about spiritual stuff. And so I read books and enjoyed all that. And occasionally, like twice a year, I might do a bit of healing on somebody. And I remember all those years ago thinking, well, if I can't be an actress, then if I could be a healer, that would be amazing. Not realizing then in my naivety that everybody is a healer. We all heal ourselves, basically. And then I was having these fits went on for 17 years, on and off.
Wow.
And not all the time, obviously, but I'd have spates of them for 5 or 6 weeks and maybe have 3 or 4 a day, one a day. And I was literally, I remember if I crossed the road, I felt like I was on another planet. I just wasn't in. And then with the blink of an eye, literally, they'd be gone for 2 or 3 months until they came back the next time. I had brain scans, all sorts of
Mhm.
things, epilepsy tablets, they didn't work too well. I was suicidal on those. And it just, nobody could find out what it was. And I was working in a little shop, a little crystal shop down the road. And this clairvoyant came to work there, and eventually she came to stay with us. And I was having these a spate of these, and I was really fed up about it. And she said, look, Blossom, I've got this. Oh, and to go back a bit, when I was healing once, I had an image of this Native American Indian, and I asked his name, and I got White Cloud, and I was like, oh, that's good, right? And then nothing more of it. And then this clairvoyant lady said, look, I've got your Indian here, and he's asking you to get a pen and paper, because he's saying he's very frustrated because he needs to speak with you. And if you, so I was like, okay, fine. So I was at this crystal shop, hardly anybody came in. So I had my little book there, and I was like, well, here we go. And literally the connection was made. And he said, White Cloud said, we'd agreed to do this many moons ago. And if I was still up for it, he'd like to speak through me. And so I was like, well, surely, yes, yes, yes. And from that day, before I forget, from that day, after 17 years, I've never had a fit since. The fits,
Wow.
once we made that connection, the fits went away. And he has said, White Cloud has said since, that I had to go through all of that to rewire my body, so that I could do what I'm able to do. And, because I don't do it very often, but I am able to bring through. There was a time when different energies came through, and I was told it was to help them get used to what it's like, so they could then go and do that with whoever they were assigned to do. It was like I was like a practice run type of thing.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's how it sort of all began. So I arranged a meeting, and there was 12 of us, and we just sat down, and I knew to breathe deeply, and I hadn't really done a great deal of meditation. I read a lot of books about it, and I felt myself change a bit, and I knew to say the word welcome, but I didn't know how. I just thought, well, so I said welcome, and out came this really, I mean, back then it was really, really deep, really, really slow. And I couldn't move. I was just, couldn't open my eyes or anything. But he just spoke for about 40 minutes. And that was that. And so the journey began.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. That's so interesting about these fits you were having, and how sometimes we can have these odd symptoms that are actually there's something energetic or spiritual that's trying to come in and help us with something, or
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
just that's why I always say, like, try to be open to the energetic and spiritual parts of your healing journey, because you never know what may be trying to come in, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
right.
especially
Absolutely
if
right.
you can't find anything else going on.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So White Cloud. So of course, listeners can go and check out some of the channelings, but it is true. Like, you can feel the energy shift when White Cloud comes in, the voice changes. Like, it's such a
And
beautiful
the
energy.
eyes change color.
Yes. Your eyes
Yeah,
change
it's
color.
my
It's
that's
incredible.
yeah, I find that bizarre, because it's because I mean, when I do a channel with him, and then I obviously watch the video back to check everything's good before I put it up, and I always find that fascinating, how my pupils they just go much darker. I think it's sort of a darker, I call it a darker blue, really. In my face, in the beginning, my face, I used to look like a really, really, really old Indian. Now I just look old myself. No, but it's like, but so that's sort of, as we've worked together over the 20 odd years, our energy has met in this way, so that now it's so much easier to bring him through, and there doesn't need to be all that. And sometimes, when he's talking quite a lot, it's almost on the same resonance of my voice. Sometimes we're sort of, so in tune with each other now, that so it's much easier to work with each other now than we used to, because and now, as he can open his eyes, he can make a joke, he could walk around, he can do what you want, really.
Yeah.
Compared to at the beginning, when it was just took a good few years to get accustomed to how it was. And you have no teacher. That's the
Right.
thing. There's no book to say this is how this works. It was just that thing of practice makes perfect, or you live and learn, and just getting used to each other, and thinking, oh yes, I know, because literally it's so hard, because to explain, because when he speaks, I'm still in here and he's in this side. It's like sometimes I'm like, now it's like, oh, I'm not even thinking, it's just happening. Whereas other times it's like a split second before he's speaking, I sort of get what he's going to say, and it
Right.
is a split second, it's a really hard thing to explain how it works. I wish I could, but I can't.
That's okay. That's okay. You get it more like just witnessing you and observing the experience. You can see and observe the shift, and it's channeling, it's coming through. It's from source, it's to and through, it's divine. Did you ever question like, who is this? Are they of the light, or did you just know right away that this is pure?
Not with White Cloud. I've never questioned, because
Yeah.
the love that comes through is so. Sometimes I've definitely, over all the years, and with the Federation of Light that we'll probably talk about,
Mhm.
I've definitely questioned my um my gift, or have I got that right? Is that truth? And you said that, but it's this, and and then I go, oh, should I be doing this? It's a big journey for everybody that channels, because it's such a big, the big thing is trust. You have to trust, and there's been quite a few times over the years when I've just thought, I can't do this anymore. Just can't do it, because I don't want to bring through rubbish, and get people all excited and then nothing happens and all this. And there was a time, I think, with the Federation in 2011, and they were talking about the pillars of light coming, and they said it would be by the end of the year. Well, they didn't come. And
Mhm.
I was like, I spat the dummy. I was like, right, on your bike. I'm not, bye. I took 3 months without communicating, because I was like, your street cred is getting ruined when you keep saying these things and then they don't happen. And then there was something that happened. I saw somebody being interviewed, and something they said about knowing it was their life's path and their life's journey. And I know that in my heart, Amber. So I was like,
Mhm.
oh, get back on the horse, Blossom. So I did. And I don't think, I still have little moments here and there, but there's no way now I know I'm going to sort of see it through, type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
You've come too far. We've come too far to stop
Yeah.
now, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And do you feel
Yeah.
like too, right? Because do you feel the vibration raising on the planet? Like, I just feel like even though there's so much going on, just do you
Yeah.
notice any changes with like, maybe that's also why it's getting easy, obviously, other than your beautiful 20 years of experience of connecting, but
Mm.
I wonder if the vibration raising is making it easier for the connection as well, for the channeling.
I guess so. I mean, I suppose it has to, inevitably, because the higher my vibration, the easier it is for them to connect with that. They don't have to come so far
Right.
down, so to put it in that way. But I think really, yes, amongst all the horror and the madness of the world at the minute, there is, just within people I know, and people who email and on comments, and just the world in general, so many more people are waking up, and they're not going to fall for the shit anymore.
Hmm.
They're just like, this is not why we're here, to fall for all this rubbish. We are here, and they're getting why they're here. And I think, that is really, and of course, there are times when the energy feels really miserable. It's like, woof. And then it shifts, or you shift, and you just think, no, I'm in for the full hog. I'll do it, because it's so lovely as well to know and to meet so many people that are just on the same page, and to
Hmm.
know that you're not, back in my day, if I said somebody said, in 20 years, what do you do? And I go, oh, I channeled a dead American Indian, they were gone. It was like, oh,
Right.
because I just thought I was an absolute weirdo. Now, so many more people are like, oh, because they're ready for this
Yes.
kind of thing so much more than 20 years ago. People
Hmm.
definitely, when the whole thing began 2 or 3 years ago, and everybody got shut inside, everybody started looking for who they were. They were at home, they had nothing more to do, so they started soul searching on the net.
Hmm.
And, you know, that I found that amazing because my subscribers went up and up and up and up because people were, they're looking to find out
Mhm.
about this, you know, made them stop and think about what is this all about and what am I all about, you know, I
Mhm.
think. So in that sense, there's been many, many, many good things about the last 3 years, you know, and we need to sort of look at that and let go of, you know, the not
Mhm.
so good, or send love to the not so good.
Couldn't agree with you more there. It's been a
Yeah,
blessing, and
yeah,
there's really this theme of love and stepping into our power, and yeah, discovering why we're here. And so thank
yeah.
you for holding through all of it to assist, right, all of us
Mm.
with that remembrance. So White Cloud, when did the Federation of Light come in, and who or what is the Federation for those that don't know?
Well, the Federation of Light came in 2005. So I'd been with White Cloud, say, 6 years. And I went for a reading with a lady, and I don't do that anymore, but then I did. And people say, "Oh, why do you need a reading? You've got White Cloud." But it's different. You know, it's like, is that me answering my own question? Which it probably is. I mean, it's just our higher selves, probably. But so I went for this thing, and this lady said to me, "You're going to write another book." And White Cloud had written 3 books then. Literally, I say, you know, I never consider myself an author, and but because I just transcripted meetings type of thing, you know, so it's, you know, I might put the odd sentence in here and there, put my tuppence halfpenny worth in here and there. But she said, "You're going to be writing another book, and it's not with White Cloud, and you're to sit at your computer every morning and see how we go." And it was my birthday the next day. So I sat in those days, I had a really old computer in our garage, you know, in the old days. And I sat there and going, all right, you know, here we go. And I made this connection. And I think that was the book is called The Bridge. I was told I was going to write this book, as many people are told this, that I was going to write this book. But at the beginning, it was sort of like the I am presence, I guess. I didn't know who it was. And somewhere, I can never find out where, throughout the book, they say, "We are the Federation of Light." I was like, oh, right, okay. Now, I hadn't heard of all that Galactic Federation, or, you know, none of that.
Mm-hmm.
I just, it really wasn't in my thing. Little did I know. And so for a year, I sat and had this communication with them, and wrote this book. And there would be like a month, 6 weeks sometimes, and they just weren't there every morning. I was like, well, why do you want me to sit here if you're not coming through, and all this, you know? And then they said, and so really that's how they began, really. And at the end, they were coming saying, "We're coming to the end of this book." And I was really like, "What are you talking about? We haven't even started, have we? What have we talked about here?" And they said, "Read through," because I never read through one from one morning to the next. And as I read it, I thought, oh my God, yes, it all sort of came together. And for me, that was quite different, because it was like, it's all very well you wanting me to get out there as a direct voice channel, but, you know, people aren't 20 years, 15, 20 years ago, you know, people aren't up for the old alien ET palaver,
Right.
you know. I'm like, you know, I don't know if I'm sort of ready to do all that. And yet I knew by the time I'd sort of finished reading, but I knew I was going to have to get on and do it, because there was just something within me that knew knew, you know. So that's how they all began. And honestly, you know, here I am. It still blows me away that that people read my conversations with them, you know, all over the world. I'm like, because to me, it's just, I sit at my computer. White Cloud, it's different because he speaks through me. So very,
Mm-hmm.
very different. With them, I just have to go, "Hi, guys," you know, I'll sort of sit quiet for a few minutes, and then "Hi, guys, how are you today?" And the connection is made telepathically. So that's very, very different, to have the telepathic communication, because there is no, you know, oh, it's just a
Yeah.
thought, and you're like, is it my thought or not? And, you know, so that's a huge trusting thing. And, you know, and over the years, much more so now, I guess, because the vibrations are able to, they come through, you know, quite regularly on the chat and channel that I do once a month, which is different. And they actually, when I say that, for those who don't know, you know, usually it's just the written thing. But they now come through and speak through me as well, and do a lot of staring of the
Mm.
eyes without
It's
blinking for a long time.
it's so beautiful though. You can feel the love being emitted. Like when you just tune into
Yeah.
the energy of it, it's incredible. It's so moving and it really allows us to become present and be in the moment. And I think that that's just so important to have that connection.
Yeah, it's the love, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's, what they
Mhm.
say, everything, that's what they're here for. And, some people write, not quite well, but people used to write and go, God, can't they talk about anything else other than love? So boring, blah, 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 blah. But I was thinking, well, clearly you haven't quite got it yet,
Yeah.
because it's like, that's all they want us to that's all they want to assist us with, White Cloud and the Federation. It is just to help us to get back to remembering who we are, or to get in touch with who we are, because we are so programmed not to be in touch with that. I think we're going to find out a huge amount of shocking revelations,
Mhm.
even though we know, some of us have sort of delved in a bit and we know a few things now. I think when the truth all comes out, I think we're all going to be and they say there's going to be a lot of turmoil going on,
Mhm.
but there has to be, because for this turnaround, they say we are here to change the world, and that makes us really special souls and really strong souls, because to come down and live amongst this rubbish is not easy. It's like we have got one huge task, which we volunteered to do, and we are the ones that got chosen. So, stop moaning and, watching Coronation Street because you don't know what to do with your life. Nothing wrong with Coronation Street,
I
don't
hear
get me
you.
wrong. But you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, let's stop complaining, and I'm
Mhm.
the same. There are times when I'm like, I'm over this. This world
Yes.
is so, this is just, and you just can't believe the things that you may hear,
Mhm.
and just the way people behave.
Mhm.
And I think as we learn to, or we not learn, that's not the right word, but as we accept who we are, that vibration that we are moving into of ourselves, when we hear of things that are just not within our comprehension, we do find it difficult, but you have to detach,
Mhm.
and we have to send love to
Mhm.
those people on the planet that are that lost. And
Mhm.
that's a really hard thing to do when you hear, or things that people have done and the way
Yeah.
they behave, to sit there and go, okay, I'll send you a bit of love. Not the easiest thing to do,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm,
And it is part of our evolution to hopefully get to that point where we can do that, because this is all about our evolution. And every time I hear you say we're here to help assist this planet, I can't help but tear up, because that's the resonance and the remembering. And I remember listening to the Federation share, like, you are the strongest of the strong. You volunteered and you were
yeah,
picked to be
yeah,
here. And so you're right. We have forgotten and been conditioned that we're these minuscule little pipsqueaks on this planet. We're kind of an inconvenience when we are so powerful and also gifted and have so much light within us. It's that, are you willing to kind of like surrender and let go of the mold society wants you to fit into, and just allow yourself to discover who you are and why you're here, which takes courage and vulnerability. It's
it certainly does. It
right.
certainly does. You have to be a brave soldier. Truly, especially in the last few years, there's a
Mm.
lot of having to step into your own power, and
Mhm.
stick by what your truth is. And I think that's the thing. It's depending on where we're all at along our journey, your truth can change.
Mhm.
So just be within your truth, but be open, because truths that weren't truths to me a long time ago now are. I'd hear of certain things and I'd think, no way is that
Yeah.
true. No, that's rubbish. Or can't think of a particular incident, whatever it might be. And now I go, yeah, 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 because I've come to understand that everything, there is nothing that
Mm.
isn't possible. It just that it isn't possible not for nothing to not be possible.
Yeah.
Everything is because we are just infinite love.
Mhm.
And we will carry on being infinite love, whether we're on this planet or somewhere else. And there's
Mhm.
no getting off, because sometimes on this planet I think, oh, beam me up, Scotty, where are you when I need you type of thing.
Yeah.
But then you think, somebody, I have had about maybe 2 or 3 times when I've sort of felt really, over a span of years, when I felt really depressed about it all, and like, what's the point, and we keep on keeping on and nothing seems to be happening, and da da da.
Mhm.
And it's like, I make the joke of, do you want to get off, but I've actually sort of more or less heard a couple of times, do you want to come back, Blossom? And I'm like, oh no. I was just joking, because if I think about getting off, no, I didn't come here to give up and get off.
Mm.
I came here to, to see through whatever my role is, as did everybody. Everybody has a role,
Yeah.
and you're either, I'm very blessed that I have this gift, and people are getting to hear about, White Cloud and the Federation's wisdom, and that, but it doesn't make me any different from
Mhm.
anybody else. We're just here. It's the light that we shine.
Yeah.
That's what, it doesn't matter whether you're online, offline, at the shops, if you live in a village of 3 people, it doesn't
Mm.
matter, because what you give out from inside of you goes out to the entirety, not just to the person you've just bumped into. That's
Mhm.
why we're here, to raise that light and raise that vibration just by being here. And that's the hard thing, by being here, to keep jolly throughout all of this. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah, 100%. And, I just think we need that reminder sometimes, because you're right. There's definitely the ups and downs of being a human. And before we got on, I was talking about my ascension symptoms and some of the funky things we might be feeling in our bodies, or the emotions that kind of come up unexpectedly, plus the world, plus navigating life. And I think for anyone who's listening, who has maybe been questioning, like, I don't really know what my purpose is, I haven't figured it out yet. Like, just
yeah,
you wait. It will come, it will drop, right?
yeah,
It There is something if you don't
definitely.
know yet.
Yeah, and that's that thing, like White Cloud would say, if people say, I don't know what my purpose is, he'd say, your purpose then is to smile and keep smiling to anybody you meet. And, that is our purpose. It doesn't have to be, when I say acknowledged, I mean in a way that everybody knows who you are, and this, that, and the other. There are a billion people who are just of such great light, who just go quietly, doing what they do, assisting the universe,
Mhm.
and it's like that, although I think, they say we will definitely step into our own as time goes on. And I think that's a thing, Amber, that people, they want to know. Hold on 1 second. That's it. They want to know, um, what is it they're supposed to be doing, and what's going to happen in the future, and will this it be, and will it be this, and what will it be like with that? We don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody's. I don't think those upstairs know exactly how it's all going to pan out, but we do know, which I feel deep within me, that as this does work its way through, our strength, as it is doing now, will get brighter and stronger continually. So
Mhm.
when we think, and we've talked about how the vibration's rising and we can feel that, that's just going to keep on getting, brighter, and we're going to walk into ourselves more and more and more, so that although there might be real shit happening all around us, it's like do, 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 do. That it's like, here we are, we're
Yeah.
ready, we've been ready for so long. And people say, I won't know, how will I know what to do? And I feel the answer is because you just will.
Mhm.
You know, we just will know. And the Federation have talked about these envelopes that we'll get, you know, obviously metaphorically. I'm not checking the post box every morning. But it's like, and there will be a time when these envelopes are opened for each person, each soul. And there is be like, we know this is what I am to do. And people will find, the lost people will find that those that are hanging around waiting for something to happen, saying, come on, let's get on with it. You know, they've said that enjoy this sort of quiet time, because when the shift hits the fan, as they say, it's going to, you know, you'll be like, oh, have I got time for a cup of tea? Because so many people will be wanting to find out about themselves and how to do that. It's, you know, that's what it's all about, really, is this
Mhm.
huge wake-up call to bring the planet into into where it's going. And I want to go dot 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 once again, because I think I feel it was like that, you know, it was beautiful
Mhm.
originally, and
Mhm.
it's just been destroyed, type of thing, with energy and things.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's a big task, but we wouldn't be here if those in the know didn't think we were strong enough to see it through,
Yeah.
you
Well
know.
said. 100%.
Mm.
And I agree. We're here. We got our light. We're good, you know, and it's exciting. And I think that's one of the things is when you first start waking up, it is scary and nerve-wracking and it is brain breaking. And then you're like, we're doomed. And then you start finding people and resources and you're like, okay, everything's going to be okay. I have some
Yeah,
reassurance. I found some support, and you start to level out and the fear starts to clear out because it can be overwhelming. Like I even just remember starting to heal binge eating and learning about the food industry, and that in itself, and that's like such a small piece, was like angering and shocking, and like
yes.
you grieve and you go through a lot of emotion realizing how and why is this allowed, right, let alone everything
Yeah.
else. So
That's right. That's right. Because we're, you know, as I say, I was brought up in a Catholic convent, and you know, and I didn't agree with that much either. But it's like, so it's like, if you're good, go to heaven. If you're bad, you go to hell, and there's no in between, type of thing. And then as you wake up to this planet and what's going on, and as you say, not, you know, the food being one part of it, that
Mhm.
is just set to destroy, you know, destroy us. Literally everything is like, as you say, we're doomed if we choose to say, well, what can we do? What can we do against these huge powers? You know, da 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 da.
Mhm.
But that's the whole point. Each person as one individual and as one energy, we can do everything, because it's not. It, this is what's come out a lot lately. It's not about. I mean, there are those whose assignments are to go marching, to do what, you know,
Mhm.
do whatever you're driven to do without question. But basically, what we're here to do is to know that all that's going on and rise above it, in a sense of bringing joy
Mhm.
to your own day. If you think, what can I do? That's the best thing in the world you can do, is to go, right, oh, I think I might go and do some gardening, if you've got that. Or if I've got to go to work, I don't really like it, I'm going to make people laugh in work
Mhm.
today. I'm going to bring joy to whoever comes into my life today. That's how we conquer this darkness, you know.
Mhm.
Love conquers all.
Mhm.
So there's no point saying, oh, well, we can't do anything. Yes, we can. We can do everything. And we are, Amber. That's
Yeah.
the beautiful thing. We are. So many people have cottoned on over the last few years, like, let's jump out of those rabbit holes now.
Mhm.
Been down there, thank you very much.
Mhm.
And let's jump on top of the rabbit holes and bounce and skippity hop on the hills, you know, because, and it's not always easy, dear
Yeah.
God, you know,
Mhm.
it's like, it's just not. Things in life happen that you have to allow to be yourself, to be human, for goodness
Mhm.
sake, you know. You just do. And the thing is not to beat yourself up
Yeah.
on those days. On those days you think, right, I'm not doing too well today, but I know there's 1,000 people out there that are, and they can do they can do it today while I'm just taking a break,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you'll get back on the, you'll get back when you're ready type of thing.
100%. And I love that. And I think, you know, us learning to love ourselves, and like, man, I'd be a basket case if I was 14 years ago now with the binge eating and everything. And so like healing these behaviors and learning self-love, and again, whatever you feel called, like that might be your contribution, because
Yeah.
each one of us healing has such a ripple effect as well, right? The vibration changes, how we treat others change, how we treat ourselves changes. So it's the purpose. There's so many potentials of what it could be for each person that, you know, don't feel pressure. Like you said, it could be going to work and giving the joy. It could be smiling at people. We don't
Yeah.
realize the significance of these things and these acts, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's like, it's, being the example, isn't it? Really, it's not the kind of thing to go knocking on people's doors and go, hey, no, not that kind of thing. But by being an example, then people are attracted to that light. And and by you spreading that light out, they pick up on it, and they're like, oh, and they can then change for themselves. it
Yeah.
it really, and it's like I've said, it's a hard journey. We've, many of us have been on it for many years. I just didn't wake up a year ago and go, oh, I think I'll be positive now. I've had to work on the positive thinking things since my early 20s, because I
Yeah.
was sort of a bit of a manic depressive about the world, and in my teenage years. And so that thing, to have to change everything around, it takes work.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much easier to go, do you know what? Can't be bothered. I'm going to
Yeah.
turn the TV on and watch a load of depressing shit because
Mm-hmm.
I can't be bothered. And, as and I'm going to get a big thing of cakes and crisps, and I'm going to indulge
Yeah.
because I can't be bothered. It's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you've got to recognize, obviously, you're an expert on this in your brain, that,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to change it around for yourself. You can't expect anybody else, helpers like you, of course, all that, but you've got to do the work yourself. You
Yeah.
can be guided to where
Totally.
can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, as they say. you
Well
know
said. It's true. You
Mm.
can't force. We all have decided what we're meant to do and not do in this lifetime, but it makes a huge difference. I find it does make it easier to cope. Even, even if you discover as you heal, you're more sensitive to energy, or you can feel the collective more, like there's ways to manage that. But it's just, there's a relief knowing, wow, I have tools. I have the power to, yeah, give myself permission to feel stressed or feel overwhelmed by everything today, but now I can feel it, be human, have compassion, and move through it, versus
Yeah,
letting it consume me and going, oh my gosh, I think I have an anxiety issue,
yeah,
and just not suppressing it with food or whatever it is, and not actually going, okay, this actually isn't even mine, right?
yes,
There's
yeah,
that
yeah.
awareness that we build. So I want to talk about vulnerability, because you are a warrior and very courageous for not only channeling White Cloud and the Federation of Light, but then starting a YouTube channel and a website to share it with the world. Like, how did, when you started, like, what made you decide, number one, to start sharing it on YouTube? And did you battle it all with like the fear of judgment, or like putting yourself out there like that? Because these messages are incredible, and at the same time, like,
Yeah,
they're it's big.
yeah.
It's big.
Yeah, that's like I said, it's like I still find it really hard to believe that all these people follow what I do. Like, how did I end up here? But it wasn't so. I guess the decision was taken out of my hands, really. And I don't know if you know, Amber, about in 2008. That in 2008 there's a massive, massive thing that happened to me, and it's for people that want to know, they can go to my website, and it's got a thing about 2008. And basically, the Federation, in this book I was writing, the second book, said that there would be a huge ship that would be on the planet for 3 days, all the world. Well, it got so big, this thing, and when it went viral, and 13, 15 years ago, where are we, 18, 15 years ago or something, viral wasn't like then, now. So it was like, they'd said, come through, that I was to let all so long ago, politicians and leaders and presidents know about this happening, and I'm like, oh, come on, what? Hello, Mr. President, it's Blossom Goodchild, just letting you know the ship going to arrive in the sky. But so I just didn't want to know. I left it, and then my friends are saying, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to put that message out? I said, well, if I don't put it out, I can't carry on doing what I do, because it's showing that I don't trust them. So I did. They wrote this specific message. And as I went to press a button, I was like, dear God, what am I doing? What am I doing? And honestly, I had about 200 people then. And I put this message out, pressed the button, and my life completely changed, because that was about 8 weeks before the date they said it was October the 14th. And I can't tell you how my life changed upside down. And it's just ridiculous. It's such a long story. So I'd say go on, to on my website to listen to all that. But literally, it was, and it didn't happen. And yet I did have people saying, I saw a mothership, I saw this, but not in the way they said. And literally, it was that big that in England, there's a huge betting company. And if they had to shut that bet down, because if it did happen, they'd go bankrupt. I mean, I was like, my brother was driving home. He was an actor, and he's driving home for a show in London, and he heard on the news or whatever, an Australian woman, Blossom Goodchild, and he's like, oh my God, what's she done now? What's she, blah, blah, blah. And has said that this ship will, blah, blah, blah. And it was terrible. I have to say, it was terrible. I talk about wanting to give up then. I didn't know how I was going to walk out my bedroom. And people, in Brazil held ceremonies to crucify my soul. And, terrible, terrible, terrible stuff. And they'd said then that at that time, they'd never had such hate against one person, because people were hoping. They wanted hope. So did I, blah, blah, blah. But there was a long thing. I didn't speak to them for a couple of weeks, and then they woke me up one night and they explained that if that was to take place, then the dark would literally nuke most of the planet if that was going to go, and they wouldn't do. Anyway, that was the thing. But a big learning curve. But it was really that got me out to the world, really. And it's interesting how, who knows where we'd be if that hadn't happened, but how it just grew and grew and grew, because it went from that to being about teaching you about who you are and the wisdom of love and everything. So that's why I've always been a bit, when they talked about the pillars of light and they didn't come, so I was like, no, I'm not doing this again, type of thing. So it just sort of happened within itself. But it was a very, I had to be so strong to get back on board after that, because it was worldwide. I mean, really, really, really nasty stuff, yet also beautiful. I had, thousands and thousands of emails from people saying, don't give up, Blossom, we're with you, we know your truth. And because also I was like, well, if that's not happened, then who's White Cloud, and why did he let that happen to me? All that sort of questioning that went on. But made me who I am today, I guess. And it's just taken the journey that it was meant to take,
Yeah, and I think it's so important that even if these circumstances happen, it's all a practice to deeper trust and faith. It's so easy for us to put it outside of us and give it to other people and circumstances, rather than, holding on to our own knowing. And I think that that's what this time is also about. Practicing deeper trust and faith, surrender. How much do you trust yourself, your intuition, right?
Yeah.
Why you're here, everything. And it's a great time to practice.
It is. And it is, as you say, that's so true. Trusting yourself, that's what we have to do, not outsiders, or, it's just trust. And you might feel very differently from the way somebody else feels about somebody online or whatever it is, because there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff out there now
Yeah.
that is mingled with truth and untruths to get us
Mhm.
all confused and this, that, and the other. So you really have to, and I find it hard to know. The federation say trust, be very discerning, and I think, well, that's all very well, but sometimes I can listen to somebody and go, absolutely not, no, no, not for me. And other times I think, don't know. I
Mhm.
find it as hard as the next person, to be
Yeah.
honest, to go, well, is that true or isn't it? And that, because we're fed so much, again, now, sadly, people might write in and go, oh, did you know such and such, such and such? And I have to write back and go, actually, yeah, I knew that was going to happen 10 years ago. And about
Mhm.
every year about this time, that little rumor will spread. So I
Right.
wouldn't hold too much strength on it because it hasn't happened yet. Because that's all fear mongering. It's
Mhm.
all fear mongering, and that's what we've got to allow ourselves to let go of. Excuse me. And not think about, is this going to happen? People write about, what if there's another lockdown, what this, blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
Who knows?
Mhm.
But the thing is, for me, the way I look at that is, great if there is, because apparently it's going to be a lot shorter. It's going to be there for what it's meant to be there for, and it means we're shifting into phase 2 at last, and we're going to get on with this
Mhm.
year
Yeah.
and tomorrow.
Yeah, totally.
you know
I agree 100%. And it's true. It's discernment because there is so much. It is an information war and it's a fog. And I think that's where when we get ourselves caught up and it's so important to come back inward and just like get grounded and take a break, right? Do pottery, make jewelry, go for a walk, pet a kitten, just
Passion.
like exactly like come
Yeah,
back in.
yeah.
Do they ever bother you or like the Federation or White Cloud, did they ever like kind of come in and just hang out and annoy you? Or is it just there's a specific time where they're coming in and it's just pure
No,
connection?
it's entirely up to me.
Okay.
Entirely up to
Yeah.
me. It's not like every Thursday at 10 we're booked in. It's just what suits me in my week. And when
Right.
I think that will work well then. And no, never, ever, ever. Because when people first find out about White Cloud, you know, people think I can read what they're thinking, It's just like, no, it's nothing like that. Or is he suddenly going to come in the shops, or is he going to suddenly start speaking to me? No, not at all. It's entirely, I am in full control of that.
Hmm.
Sometimes I might get it, if, it's not that often, but sometimes if I'm with somebody, I might get a nudge. And I'll go, are you okay, White Cloud? Like, have a little word. And of course, I'm not going to say no, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And but some of them are obviously a bit. I do a little bit of peeling here and now and then if it comes up, and if it, and if White Cloud's there, I say, look, if they might not know so much, I'll say, White Cloud's here. Are you okay? And they're like, yes. And you can know their heart's like, well, the minute he comes through, everything just relaxes because of the love that he comes through with. So it's totally, totally in my control.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
there's a mantra that the Federation of Light has shared, which is so powerful. Do you want to share a little bit about what it is and the purpose of it, I guess?
Yeah, it is. I am the light, I am the love, I am the truth, I am. Or you can say, I am the love, I am the light. Whichever way suits you, I am the truth, I am. And this is a coded mantra, and it seems to work in every circumstance. If you're joyous, say the mantra, and it like puts your vibe up even more. If you're really sad and say the mantra, it just changes your vibration. If you're scared, if you've got to go for an interview, if you're just sitting at the traffic lights, say the mantra over. And now for me, whenever I close my eyes to go to sleep, it's automatically there. I'm like, because you say it in your mind, or you can say it out loud, and some people sing it, and it's so lovely that it's taken off as much as it has. I have lovely emails of how things have changed when people were saying them, and they were,
Mhm.
this happened in the end instead of that type of thing. And I've done a couple of ones online with thousands of people saying it together, and White Cloud conducting it. And I just, it makes me tear up just at the end when we did the last one on New Year's Eve day. And at the end, he just went, we just changed the world, So it was just beautiful. And it's so, if you're sick, just keep saying the mantra. It's
Mhm.
just, if you want to help, you say, I don't know what to do, say the mantra, because it is so powerful in so many things and can be used in absolutely everything. And that's why we were given it, really to empower not only ourselves but everybody, by saying it. It's when it says I am the light, well, it's but the I am is the everything. So it's, it really is. I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that we've been given with that. And people write in and say, oh, I like to say I'm the light, I'm the love, I'm the truth, I am gratitude, I am. And is that all right to say? Do whatever suits you. I'm not saying do or don't. I know that they could expand on 1,000 things. I am this, I am that, and blah, blah, I am peace, I am. But it really, that basic, those, I'm the light, I'm the love, I'm the truth, I am. That's the foundation, I would say, of it. And then if you want to expand yourself, that's absolutely fine. But that in itself is all, I would say, is all you need, really.
And it is
Yeah.
profound, and it's so beautiful, and you can feel your vibration change, and it's beautiful. So sit for a little while and get into the mantra. It is a great tool for us to have, and I'm so glad that
Yeah.
you shared that with the world so that we can use it. So
Yeah.
I would love to get your take on just what can you share with the world as far as where we're headed, in the sense of like what you wish to see for the world, what kind of world you want to see created, because I think the more we can all share that, the more we're going to create and manifest
Yeah.
that as it
Yeah.
shifts.
Well, it's really hard, I think, well, you can see beautiful computerized paintings of crystal cities and beautiful waterfalls and flowers, and people who have had near-death experiences, etc., have said, there are so many colors that we just are not aware of. And I just think it's hard to visualize going to there from here, it really is. So for me, more, I try to think of it as how I'd feel, how I want to feel in the new world, because everything is about the feeling, because that's the vibration that you're living within and living upon. So I think it's more like, when we're all, when you're together with friends and having a really good laugh, or a really beautiful opportunity takes place between you and somebody else to offer love, just lovely angelic magic that happens in life. Just to imagine a world like that. It's not so much for me about the surroundings. I mean, I live in Australia. It's beautiful, it's stunning, it's paradise where I live to look at, type of thing. So for me, I don't really feel needed to change that much. I might need to get a few weeds out my garden, but it's just, it's just beautiful. I'm so blessed to live here. But it's more to do, I think, with the new world of the vibration of how we choose to feel. And that again is like all we've talked about today, Amber, is like, lifting up the vibration through understanding who we are more and more, and just remaining as strong as we can in any given moment, and not to beat ourselves up when we're not feeling that good that day.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing we can do, is let go, allow it to happen, take care of ourselves,
That's
and let it
right.
unfold, right?
Yep. Nobody knows how it's going to unfold, or and there's different stories here, there, and everywhere. Well, let's be patient and let's just walk into it with our fairy, no, let's have no heavy cement boots, let's just have bare feet and skipping, and just see where it goes. I mean, if we weren't going to have the outcome that we're here for, why would we have bothered to come? If it was going to be like, well, actually, you can go down there, give it a try, but the whole world's going to disintegrate in darkness. Well, why would we go, oh, I'll go down for that? We wouldn't,
Yeah.
So to actually go to know the outcome, but we can't acknowledge it just yet, type of thing. Because we would go on down, we would change everything if we knew
Yeah.
where we were going in that sense, or how it was going to come about. Everything would change. We have to go along with it as it's taking place and just follow our heart. And it's going to be good. It's and who knows? I'm 65. I know people who write to me and they're 95 and they've been waiting forever, and they go, will I be here? I don't know. I don't know. Will
Yeah.
I be here? I don't know. Doesn't matter where we are. It's our part in it,
Yeah.
that really, really matters. But everybody will be exactly where they're meant to be as it's all taking place.
Yeah. I agree. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, no, I think that's something which is quite good timing, because I think
Yeah.
before we came online, it's just started. There were some builders over the road, and I've just watched them come back and they turned on their machine. So there we are, the universe. Because I was so worried. I was like, oh,
Fun.
well, I have to go to somebody else's house because I'll be able to hear all the thing. And now it's just happened now. So that's absolutely perfect.
Divine timing. We by accidentally scheduled this on the super moon. Like everything is just unfolding beautifully, right?
Amazing. Absolutely.
Well, where can everyone find you? Want to come check out the channelings in your work?
Yeah. If you go to blossomgoodchild.com, there's my website there. And it's got everything. It's got all my videos there, and it's very easy to what's the word? Not maneuver.
Navigate?
Navigate. That's the word I'm looking for. Very easy to navigate and everything. And my YouTube channel is, I can't even remember what my actual channel is called, because it was when all 2008 happened. And my stepdaughter, she did the names of her three children. And it's the most bizarre, little bits of it is bizarre. It's something like Is Jambu. So if you just go Blossom Goodchild YouTube, it'll come up, because every week there are the channelings that I've written that are read out by myself doing my bit, and a lovely gentleman called Joe in Canada who reads out the voice of the Federation beautifully. Beautifully. So I send
Yes.
him my recording, he says his bit, and then he mixes the two together. So you can either read them on my site, or you can listen to them on YouTube for the ones that I'm not doing the actual chat and channel ones.
I didn't know he was in Canada. That's so exciting. Fellow
Yes, I'm pretty
Canadian.
sure I'm pretty sure he's Canadian. Or he might,
Yeah.
I should know, really. He's just a beautiful soul that came on
Yes.
board, as many
Yes.
have, and they translate the messages into many languages. I'm just so blessed to have this team that do all this from love, from their heart, and all those translators, the messages get out to so many more people that
Yeah.
otherwise would have no idea what was being said. So it's just amazing how the universe provides.
Yes. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on today and sharing your time. Thank you for being vulnerable with the world and following through with your mission. It is just the utmost pleasure to be on the planet with you and all the beautiful souls who are here to help. And I'm just sending you so much love and so many blessings. Thank you, Blossom.
Thank you so much, Amber. I really, really enjoyed it. And thank you for thinking me worthy to spread the message.
My pleasure.